Hudson County View, live and uncut. While you may have been expecting Eddie Brock from the Daily Bugle, me and him have since bonded, and we are Venom now. So the lethal protector will be the one taking you through this episode. Today we have a lot of great content for you as always. And first, we'll be sitting down right next to me. We have Hoboken 5th Ward Councilman Phil Cohen, and we have a lot to talk about regarding the 770 Jackson Street pilot, COVID initiatives, and a whole lot more. We also have a number of issues to discuss in Jersey City. Like most weeks, we're going to be talking about their business administrator, Brian Platt, looking to exit his way all the way to Kansas City by the new year. So obviously that's a big story. We also have some COVID updates in North Hudson, specifically in the Union City Board of Education. We're going to talk to you about what they're doing with their teachers and their aides. And we're also going to be discussing a few other matters, time pending. But for now, we are going to simply take a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back with Hoboken Councilman Cohen.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and large inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net. Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights. Your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments. Carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants. All major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712.
Good Friend Self-Storage in North Bergen, New Jersey is a fully climate-controlled facility equipped with state-of-the-art security, packing supplies, a Refer Friend program, and multiple loading docks convenient for commercial use. Located just off of Route 3 at 4301 Tunley Avenue, Route 1 and 9. Call 201-867-2444 or visit us on the web today. Good Friend Self-Storage. Let us be your good friend.
Hudson County View, live and uncut. Your host, Venom, joined with Hoboken 5th Ward Councilman Phil Cohen. Phil, thanks for coming in.
Great to be here, Venom.
Yeah, it definitely is. So listen, obviously there's no shortage of things to talk about in Hoboken, just like any other week, Halloween or not. So first of all, Councilman, let me just talk to you a little bit about the 8-year anniversary of Hurricane Sandy. I'm sure we could talk about this for the whole segment if we had to, but just briefly, when you're reflecting on what happened back then and how far the city has come since that point in time, what comes to mind?
Well, John, it is amazing that just 8 years ago, Hoboken was devastated by Hurricane Sandy. I've been active with the Rebuild by Design Committee, and we've been working really hard on Hoboken's $230 million plan to rebuild resiliently. We've had some amazing resilience parks that are under construction in Northwest Resiliency Park in the 5th Ward that I represent will be the city's biggest park. It will hold about 1 million gallons of water, and it is an amazing national model. So we're trying to rebuild. We're trying to be resilient. It's raining outside right now, and I'm definitely having some flashbacks. But I think we're obviously we built back strong. We've built back well, and with the completion of Rebuild by Design, which we're looking at now, 2022, 2023. We're looking at, hopefully we will be resilient for the long haul so that if we ever have another event like Sandy, Hoboken will be resilient and be strong for the future.
Yeah, and obviously, like you alluded to, I mean, the weather is kind of fitting today, I think, when you're looking at that perspective, right? With that in mind, let's talk a little bit about the 77 Jackson Street pilot. Of course, the payment in lieu of taxes. It was one of the longer council meetings of the year when you guys voted on this recently. It was on the agenda, I should say. There was no vote. And as we saw before, the Hoboken Board of Education wasn't really happy with the resolution that was in front of the council. And at the end of the day, as I just said, there was actually no vote. And now there's another letter from the Board of Education, and they said that they felt like they were being used as political pawns. I mean, it was a pretty lengthy one. But nonetheless, they're clearly expressing displeasure that this thing did not get what they felt was proper consideration. So what's your take on this letter from them, and what's your take on what is happening as far as this pilot agreement goes?
Well, John, two things. First, in Hoboken, it always seems like there's a mayoral election even when there isn't one, and next year we're going to have one. So I think politics definitely played a part with respect to this resolution. It was disappointing because the day before our council meeting, we got advice from council for the city of Hoboken that the resolution was illegal and that the city wasn't able to make direct allocations to the charter schools. But instead of having the resolution pulled, we had about 3 hours plus of parents who were very concerned and upset about the resolution who spoke on it before there was an actual vote. But we just saw a letter from the Board of Education that you referenced just a few hours ago that expressed very specific issues with respect to some of the representations that were made and misinformation about that resolution, which I think is an important letter that your viewers should read. And it has a lot of information in there that's helpful. I'm digesting some of it myself. But for me personally, I think this issue is going to be coming back specifically next Wednesday's council meeting. Councilwoman Jabor and I will be introducing a resolution to have the entire pilot allocation sent to the Hoboken Board of Education. You may remember, John, at the council meeting, Council Vito Gagliardi for the Board of Education said that there was a way that the Board of Education could work directly with the State Department of Education and allocate the money from the pilot project that should have been levied and gone to the Board of Education, but wasn't because it was a pilot. That money could be allocated across both public and charter schools through a formula through the State Department of Education. The Hoboken City Council doesn't have jurisdiction over Hoboken schools, and we shouldn't be picking winners and losers and trying to determine state formulas as to who gets what. We should get out of this. We should pass the money on to the Board of Education and let the Board of Education work with the State Department of Education to properly allocate that money equitably.
Very good. Well, look, I look forward to seeing that resolution, and I'm sure the vote will be as entertaining as always. So, we'll see where it goes, but, just one follow-up on that. So,
Sure.
Obviously, Fourth Ward Councilman Ruben Ramos, the council president, agreed to pull that item, as, we touched on. But apparently it was going to be remanded to the Education Committee for further discussions among all parties. Do you know if that's happened yet?
I haven't heard anything further about that. Frankly, John, I was surprised when it got pulled. I didn't find out that it was going to be pulled until 3.5 hours into the meeting. So I was prepared to vote on it. I was prepared to vote no on it. It seems like there was some discussion maybe before the council with some council members that this was a way to go. I haven't seen or heard anything about the activities of that committee since the council meeting.
All right. Very good, Councilman. Thanks. So on a totally different topic, something very specific to the Fifth Ward. I don't know if you've seen this on social media, but we've seen some of your constituents talking about how there's a lot of trash and litter in the ShopRite vicinity. And, they're not sure if this is on ShopRite to clean up. They're not sure if it's on the city or if it's a joint venture. But they wanted to know, what they could do. And look, I know litter's not a main priority for many municipalities right now in the midst of COVID and everything else. But still, we've got a few messages there, and I just wanted to quickly discuss that.
Sure. Well, first, my Gmail is hobokenphil@gmail, and I am responsive. In fact, I got a message from a constituent saying that there was trash between 13th and 14th on Adams. I contacted Director Gonzalez. This was adjacent to a parking lot where there were weeds that were growing through the sidewalks and trash. And the Director Gonzalez sent out folks that day and took care of the weeds, took care of the trash, and I got a nice note from that constituent thanking me for addressing it. So when those issues come up, I encourage my constituents to contact me. Garbage is important. It's a quality of life issue. It makes people feel good about where they live, and when they walk down those blocks every day, it's disheartening to see that kind of thing. So I welcome those kinds of, just like I got from that constituent that concern about 13th and 14th, Adams between 13th and 14th. I welcome all those kinds of inquiries. And I find that Director Gonzalez, Department of Environmental Services, does a great job if they're alerted to those issues, and I pass them along right away.
Okay. And as far as the actual ShopRite, is that up to the management, or is that up to the city, or is it a shared effort?
So there is a park that is actually, it's on the ShopRite property, but it is a city park.
Okay.
It's a small strip, and it is, I have heard questions about that. I've had constituents who've asked me whether it could be a dog run. There were problems with that because the pavement is uneven there. It's not a great park. It's sort of the park that Hoboken has forgotten. And I'm not surprised that people are concerned about the maintenance and the quality of the area there. I know that I'm on the Parks Committee, We've looked at it and thought about what we could do better with that space. I don't think there's been any decision made yet, but I know with everything when it comes to parks in Hoboken, things don't happen quickly. You get a lot of community input and things. The county can sometimes move much quicker than Hoboken on parks. That's not always a good thing because sometimes the park gets built and people are like, why is that being built in our ward?
Yeah,
that has happened. At Columbus Park, there have been improvements, and under the viaduct, some weight equipment popped up in the middle of the space under the viaduct, and people are wondering, why is it there? The county can move extremely quickly. The city moves more deliberately. So with respect to this park, I'm certainly open to suggestions about ways that we can improve upon it. If there's a maintenance issue with respect to that park, I'm happy to have people take a look at it.
Very good, Councilman. Thanks for that. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. Just give us a moment here, and we'll see you in a few.
The Jersey City Medical Center. You know it for its award-winning, life-saving ambulance service. It's also your health hub, with health and wellness locations staffed with certified professionals all through Hudson County. The Jersey City Medical Center, here to help you with your healthy, here when you need us the most. The Jersey City Medical Center. Visit us on the net to learn more. Jersey City Medical Center, Robert Wood Johnson, Barnabas Health Facility. Let's be healthy together.
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers the quality of life you deserve in 10 high-rise rental towers with amenities such as the on-site Newport Path subway, light rail and ferry service, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Sears, JCPenney, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams Supermarket is just outside your front door. A health and fitness club, spa, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. NewportNJ.com. Enjoy the New York skyline from Newport Town Square. Manhattan is just one path stop away or quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Want to visit Newport? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. Go to NewportNJ.com for details. Newport has luxurious towers, great restaurants, shopping, New York skyline views, schools, playgrounds, a marina and yacht club, gym, spa, fine wine, fine living. It's incredible. It's you. NewportNJ.com. Newport, live like you want.
Hudson County View live at Uncut. John Arhida said I'm still here with Hoboken 5th Ward Councilman Phil Cohen. Phil, thanks again. So we just wrapped up talking about what's going on, some quality of life issues in your ward. Now, obviously, people are well aware of what's going on for the most part about these COVID safety initiatives in the Mile Square. So I know one thing that you guys are voting on tonight, and I believe you were a sponsor, if I'm not mistaken.
The sponsor.
Yes, and that's about house parties. Now, this would basically allow a $250 to $1,000 fine for people that don't follow Governor Murphy's regulations regarding indoor gatherings to prevent house parties for the Halloween weekend. As you can see, some people really get into the holiday, but nonetheless. So why do you think that this is important, relevant, and appropriate at this time?
Sure. Well, Governor Murphy has an executive order with respect to indoor gatherings. We have an ordinance which passed on first reading a week and a half ago. We're having a special meeting tonight to pass it on second reading. Hopefully it will pass. The idea here is that when we have increased COVID positive tests in Hoboken, and I checked with City Hall before I came over, we're now up to 974 known cases. We've had a number of days in the last 2 weeks, 10, 11 cases, new positive cases a day. Our contact tracing has shown that a number of these cases have been traced back to house parties. I've spoke to Chief Ferranti about this, our Hoboken Police Chief, and he's told us that in the last few weeks they've had a number of house parties over the weekends. The weather's getting cooler. It's not just Halloween, but people are enjoying getting inside with their friends and having massive gatherings of rowdy events. So the way this ordinance is drafted, you have to be in violation of a noise ordinance or public drunkenness ordinance that would trigger the police to come in for an initial summons. And then when the police arrive, if they find that there are 25 or more people in the house party, that they can issue to the landlord and to the tenant a fine of up to $1,000.
So just to clarify quickly, so they can't just arbitrarily knock and say, hey, you're having a party? Like, there has to be a reason, right?
Correct. It has to be an existing violation of the Hoboken Code to be combined with the house, with the so people don't have to worry that they're going to get a strange knock on the door from the Hoboken police. It will be when their house party has been called in to the police department, the police will be on the scene anyway. But this will give them, and the Chief Ferranti has welcomed this additional tool in his enforcement arsenal to be able to get the message out that this is not a joke. This is not a situation where you can turn down the music and it's fine. When we have spiking rates in New Jersey and in Hudson County and in Hoboken, we need to be proactive. We need to address the house parties, and hopefully a threat of a $1,000 fine to the landlord and to the tenant will be just the ticket to get people to stop having these parties proactively.
All right, now a lot of people would make the argument that this goes hand in hand with Mayor Bala's executive order that takes effect this evening, which has the bars, lounges, clubs, and I guess restaurants too, that serve alcohol to close their doors at midnight. So now we've seen this obviously at Hoboken. Newark's actually doing 8 o'clock for non-essential businesses. Patterson doing the exact same thing as Hoboken. But one person who doesn't agree is Jersey City Mayor Stephen Fulop. I mean, you saw he had a tweet thread, I believe anyway you saw. He had a tweet thread just yesterday. And on that thread he said that we're not going to do this because there's been a lot more data, there's a lot more contact tracing, of course I'm paraphrasing, and it isn't as if you can't get COVID at night. So what do you make of his take on this? And what do you make of his take on this, and why do you think that doesn't work for Hoboken?
Well, there's a few things. One is, and you'll be hearing more about this from Mayor Bala, I believe, later today, but that our contact tracing shows that some of the cases have been traced to bars and restaurants, number one. So that may be different from Jersey City's contact tracing experience. Number two, when you get past midnight, the alcohol is flowing a little more freely. You're talking about younger people who are highly susceptible to COVID, people from 25 to 35, and you're talking about people who are talking louder. And that's what happens between midnight and 2 in the morning. The louder you speak, the louder the volume, the more alcohol that's being served, the more risk of droplets traveling through the bars, and frankly, the higher risk of transmission. There have been folks who have been pushing. Newark has the shutdown at 8 p.m. You mentioned Patterson has followed Hoboken with the midnight curfew with respect to bars and restaurants. People had asked Mayor Bala to consider 10 p.m. closures. This is a compromise. We think that this is a fair way to go. Governor Murphy has to decide whether the bars and restaurants stay open. He has decided they can stay open, but localities can regulate what's reasonable. Given the contact tracing that we're seeing, given the risk that we're hearing from the scientists and from the data that we're seeing in our contact tracing, we think this is a reasonable compromise of a midnight closure 7 days a week.
Quickly, Councilman, if I may, just so look, when people talk to political junkies like us, when they're talking to me, they look at Hoboken as if it's a 6-3 divide, right? 3 that are with the mayor, 6 that are against. And it's not always that simple. On payment of claims, of course, you guys vote together 99, maybe not 99, but 90-something% of the time. So I guess in your first year on the council, certainly you've supported a lot of legislation sponsored by the administration, but I'm just curious if there's anything that perhaps didn't take effect or didn't roll out, or that you maybe just didn't go quite as planned.
That's a good question, John. Well, one thing that I look at is, and when I was here a year ago when I was running for council,
sure,
one of the things that I was concerned about, and it's great to be back, and your studio looks great.
Oh, thank you. Hudson Media Group's a great partner, but anyway.
I wasn't happy with the bike lane on Washington Street, the way it was done. I felt like there should have been a protected bike lane that had been proposed in 2016, and Councilman Bala actually voted for the design that was in that effect. I'm disappointed that that's still the design that we're stuck with, and one of the things that's going to be before the City Council next Wednesday is a resolution to revisit that decision and to see whether we can get a feasibility study to see if we can actually have a cost-effective protected bike lane on Washington Street. So I think one of the things that I was disappointed with when I came to City Council was that history came before. I think that history has shown, and this year has shown, that restaurants benefit, businesses benefit from having more pedestrian traffic and having more people encouraged to use bikes on the main street. So I think that's one thing that I would like to see done differently and better. I realize fiscal times are tough, but that's something that I'd like to see if maybe on the agenda for next year, we could look at taking a new look at whether it's feasible without breaking the bank. Because Mayor Fulop in Jersey City has done a great job on protected bike lanes, putting them up and getting them throughout Jersey City. I think we can emulate that example in Hoboken without breaking the bank.
Got it.
But-
We're going to end it there,
Okay.
Councilman. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Enjoy the long weekend. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back.
Most women who give birth recover without problems, but any woman can have complications after the birth of a baby. Learn the post-birth warning signs, such as fever, headache, chest pain, shortness of breath, increased bleeding, or thoughts of hurting yourself or someone else. Knowing these can save your life or the life of someone that you love. Trust your instincts. If you feel something is wrong, call and get evaluated by your healthcare provider. If your symptoms get worse or you do not hear back from your physician, call 911 or go to the nearest emergency room.
RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together.
Panapinzo Properties, Jersey City. Shaping the workplace with state-of-the-art office spaces that address your company desires. Building residences that define your home environment, adjacent to all modes of transportation with on-site parking available. The right address, the right lease. Call 201-521-9000 or visit online at panapinzoproperties.com. Panapinzo Properties, building Jersey City for everyone.
Hudson County View, live and uncut. John R. Highness. So, like I said, we have a couple other things to discuss outside of Hoboken, and we want to talk about what's going on in Jersey City. So, first of all, looks like congratulations are likely in order for Business Administrator Brian Platt. He has applied for the city manager job in Kansas City, Missouri, and pending approval from that city council this evening, that will be the place where he resides and works as of January 4th, 2021. So let's look a little bit into this. You guys have known that Brian Platt has been the BA since 2018. He took over the acting title after being the city's chief innovation officer, after starting that department in 2013, and he was one of the people that made sure that this ran smoothly. Again, he was the head of that department until becoming Act BA in 2018. So with that, we started to hear over the past couple days that he was looking into this job in Kansas. We saw the Jersey City Times reported this late on Tuesday evening, and actually what ended up happening was they deleted the post, but before that happened, 2 city council members in Kansas City found out about it, and they were pretty fit to be tied. They seemed pretty annoyed. We have those tweets embedded on our website, and they were just really surprised that there was no notification to the council, the reason being that they must ratify, like most city councils, with a vote. This isn't something that the mayor can appoint unilaterally. So since then, the Kansas City mayor has come out and has put his support behind Brian Platt, and again, that vote will be this evening. So we will, it looks like everything's locked up. Of course, when you're dealing with a city council, even across the country, nothing is certain until it's all the T's crossed and the I's dotted, but it looks like a done deal. So it looks like at the end of 2020, Brian Platt will be headed to a whole new city hall. So with that, we're also going to take a moment just to discuss what's going on related to COVID and other things. So specifically, we wanted to talk about the Union City Board of Education. And regarding that, there was a robocall, and there was also a email that went out, on Sunday evening, and that said that the teachers and the aides would not be coming in until further notice, and it also said that non-instructional staff would be heading to a staggered schedule, which would be determined by their administrators. So with that, we haven't heard much else. We haven't heard anything about any staffers or any other people inside the building testing positive for COVID students, anybody like that. Contractors, nothing along those lines has been disclosed at this time, but we did hear from the Union City Police Department last week that between approximately October 17th and October 23rd, there were 140 new cases of COVID in Union City, and there are well over 2,000 cases overall. And this is something that they're keeping an eye on, like most school districts, but it looks like we're heading to an all-remote school year, not just for North Hudson and for Hudson County, but really for New Jersey. I don't know when that'll be announced, but it certainly doesn't look like in-person learning is going to be permitted for much longer. Obviously, we're going to keep you up to speed on that as Governor Phil Murphy and the New Jersey Department of Education make those decisions. So with that, we also had a little time here to talk about what's going on regarding Kearney and Harrison. We've heard from the New Jersey Department of Health here, and they said that the largest upswing in Hudson County has been in Kearney, Harrison, and Union City. We saw last week, and I touched on last week, that Kearney Mayor Al Santos says the second wave is here. He's urging caution. He's asking residents to wear masks, to socially distance, avoid crowds, etc. You know, nothing mind-blowing here. I mean, this is something that we've been hearing for 8 months on end, but clearly the numbers are going up and the rate of transmission is increasing. Hospitalizations, a modest increase, and the hospital beds being used throughout the CarePoint facilities, which includes the Bayonne Medical Center, Christ Hospital, Hoboken University Medical Center, are up slightly. We were awaiting numbers about Hudson Regional Hospital, and I'm sure those will be coming any day now. So that's one thing that obviously everyone needs to keep an eye on, especially heading into this Halloween weekend, where clearly there's going to be a desire for people to want to go out and celebrate, hence what we're seeing in Hoboken and some other cities throughout the state. Beyond that, we also wanted to take a moment to discuss what's going on in another part of Hudson County, Bayonne. Bayonne has pointed out, and a lot of people have pointed this out throughout New Jersey, that you could still vote in person on November 3rd, of course, Tuesday. The polls are open from 6 a.m. till 8 p.m. The thing there is that if you're going to be voting, you're going to be voting via a provisional ballot unless you're disabled. The only people that can vote on the machines are people that are disabled. Otherwise, you'll be submitting a provisional ballot. So obviously, there's a big discussion that has largely been due to President Donald Trump questioning the integrity of this election, and other Republicans really throughout the country too, and questioning the integrity of the election due to vote-by-mail ballots. And as we know, this election will be contested primarily via vote-by-mail ballots due to an executive order by Governor Phil Murphy, just like he did for the July 7th primary. So with that in mind, the city of Bayonne gave all 9 locations of where you could vote in person on Tuesday. That's on our website. It's 3 for Ward 1, 3 for Ward 2, 3 on Ward 3. So, just something to keep in mind if for whatever reason you haven't been able to get to your postal office, that they're probably not going to be the place to be, because now with so little time remaining, it makes more sense to either go in person or to use your drop boxes, your municipal drop boxes, multiple locations in many municipalities. So with that, we're going to say thank you very much again for joining us. It's always fun, and everyone have a very happy Halloween weekend.
Stevens Jersey City Ford, located right off of NJ 440 North. Across the Hudson Mall is your one-stop for all your automotive needs. Check out Ford's latest models like the 2020 Ford Fusion with its stylish looks and hybrid options, or the unparalleled high-performance 2020 Ford Mustang. The 2020 Ford F-150 Raptor is ready for those rugged off-road terrains with trail control. Need a mid-sized truck for your towing and hauling? The 2020 Ford Ranger will deliver. The 2020 Ford Escape is a luxury SUV that was made for comfort and adventure on the go. Returning is Ford's legendary Bronco, which takes you back to the true meaning of off-roading. They are now available for pre-order in our showroom or on our website. Let us help you find your next vehicle. Stevens Jersey City Ford, 201-432-7272.